Over the past few weeks in these videos, I've been going through a bunch of profiles and Tinder conversations that you, the viewers, have submitted to me to help guys like yourselves get better results on Tinder. So I've been going through and saying, all right, you're not getting results because of this, because of that. And of course, all the guys contacting me have been guys who have been struggling to get good results. But today what I want to do is I want to give you a treat. I want to show you what some fantastic Tinder conversations look like. Here are conversations that get results. To get these, I actually asked one of my coaches. That is one of my School of Attraction dating coaches, the guys who works for me. He doesn't even do Tinder coaching, but what he is a guy who I know for certain gets really incredible results on Tinder. Lots of dates, lots of fun. So what is he doing? What is he writing? How is he communicating with these women? How long is he waiting to get their numbers? Keep watching to find out. This is going to be a really exciting little adventure. I'm also going to be coaching Denzel, my coach, on how to get better results. So this isn't like, these aren't perfect conversations. They're just really successful ones. I'm going to show you why they work, and I'm going to show you how to make them even better. Keep watching. Alrighty guys, so let's get rolling. So I'm going to have a look at the first conversation. I'm going to go through the conversation and give feedback as we go. So let's have a little look-see. So the first conversation here that Denzel has had is with Alice. Starts, "Here Alice, I brought you pizza and tacos. Two of my favorite foods. I feel like those who don't like pizza and tacos are not to be trusted. Vodka or tequila? Tequila. Haha, so true. Excellent answer. You definitely can't have vodka with tacos, though that may just be my South American blood talking. Red or white? Ooh, I'm a white girl. I'm assuming you're red? I think there's a food and a time for most wines, though I can't usually go past a good Shiraz. You won't be stealing my drink. The big question is, are you a bigger fan of pizza or pasta?" And she says, "Pizza! But really, how can you choose?" "Yeah, it's impossible, I know. So both. Macaroni pizza it is." "Yes, I know that's cheating." "Fried or scrambled eggs?" "Ah, I'm loving these questions. Who knew there was macaroni pizza?" "I love both styles." Now, I'll just break away from the conversation here for a second. I'll say, notice that what Denzel is doing is a strategy I don't use, but it works really well for Denzel and a number of other guys, is he's asking kind of light-hearted, not real, like kind of questions designed to be playful, and he's having a little bit of fun with her answers and just making it a bit of a game. So it's not like, who are you? What do you do? What are you up to this weekend? It's not like that kind of interview series of questions. These are fun and lighthearted, and they're just a bunch of kind of fun, easy to answer. It's a very easy way for a woman to get involved in a conversation with you by not starting too heavy and too hardcore on the conversations. And that's why this is working, because they're not like these kind of fake trying to get to know you questions. They're just having a little bit of playful chit chat before trying to make things a little bit more real. And that's what's happening here. And this is a strategy I don't use, but it works really well. So going on, she said, "I love both styles." I would have said poached. After the last answer, you should have really seen that coming. "Unfair, man. Though I do love that you love eggs. We share that quality. Rules are meant to be broken." "All right, I see how it is." "What do you do with yourself when you're not being so cute?" "I work as a model agent. What about yourself?" Denzel says, "Oh, lovely. What type of modeling? Hand modeling?" "I'm in advertising as a designer, art director, but I work in the personal development field on the weekends, guys with confidence issues and the like." Now, I'll just jump in here. This is kind of more advice for Denzel. The hand modeling quip, I would be very cautious with that because it comes out of the game. And so if women have read the game, they can then think you're trying to use like kind of pickup artistry on them. And I'd be very cautious about using that on Tinder. It's worked okay here in this conversation, but it's actually something I'd be cautious of. I'd try something else. So kind of just vary that a little bit. Teasing is great, but yeah, using something from the game can be risky. Cool, so going on. She says, "Haha, I actually do look after hand models, yes, but mostly for educational, editorial, TVCS, etc., etc. Wow, your work sounds fascinating. How did you fall into it?" "Haha, there's a model for every appendage, right? My mother was a life coach, so I really shouldn't be surprised I ended up at a company that does that. To be honest, it's a very long story, best left for another time, I think. I can't give too much too soon, right? Have to save something for when we get a drink, right? Full of mystery, Denzel. I feel like you're reading my mind. Are you free Saturday night?" That is a tricky one at the moment. I most likely will be out, but if my plans change, I will let you know. And he says, let me know by Saturday morning. Otherwise, I can do Wednesday night. How does that sound? She says, perfect. That may work better. And he says, dragged out pen pal interactions aren't usually my style. So let me know either way about Saturday. So I'll stop here for a second. This is a good amount of time to wait until you ask for a number. This is an okay amount of time to wait. One thing for me though, she said that Saturday night's going to be tricky and Wednesday would be better for her. I wouldn't leave the ball in her court. What I would do is I'd say, you know what? Let's just go for the short thing. Let's lock in Wednesday night for good then, right? And forget about trying to go for the Saturday date, because what I've found is that leaving it for her and not looking in something now while the iron's hot can leave you more open to getting a higher flake rate. So if you want to narrow that flake rate, I'd knock out Saturday, lock in Wednesday for good, and keep being playful with her after you get her number. So going on. Alice says, perfect, that may work better. Dragged out pen for conversation is usually my thing. Great. Then she says, agreed, though we'll be deleting this very soon. What's your number? I think we deserve the upgrade. By the way, I like this. I like this way of asking for a number. I think we deserve the upgrade is a little bit playful, and yeah, I like it. She says, straight to it. Denzel says, and then you can delete your Tinder. She says, God, you're confident, and then gives her number. So overall, a nice, straightforward conversation. You're going to see this kind of questioning strategy frequently from Denzel, asking kind of small, simple, playful questions and then trying to have a little bit of fun with the answers. This works really well for him. I've never used this strategy, but this could work well for you, and it's easy to copy. You'll see he does this over and over again, even with different answers. So let's have a look at another conversation, this time with a girl named Catherine. So he says to her, you look like a very young 28-year-old. Mum and dad must have some good genes. She says, haha, thanks. It's just the Asian genes, really. He says, they say black don't crack, but Asians don't turn into raisins. Okay, I just made that up, but appropriate, right? So this is good. This is, I guess, one of the things you want to do early on is get her smiling, get her laughing. And Denzel's really good at this. Like in real life, Denzel's fantastic coming up with the one-liners and the teasers. This is something that Denzel and I have in common a lot. Like we're very quick on our feet thinking of ways to be playful or say something funny or random funny, kind of strange in a playful way. Really great at this. Doing that early on, it raises your value because it makes women feel like this is going to be a fun interaction. You want to establish that early on Tinder. This is going to be a fun interaction. Denzel does that fantastically here. So going on, she says, haha, I was going to say, I've never heard it before. Sounds about right, though. It's okay, you can use it. Look at you being catch of the week on Tinder. By the way, guys, notice that she's using a huge number of emoticons in her text. This means that she's heavily invested. I always tell guys not to use too many emoticons. Like you'll notice Denzel's emoticon usage is spot on. He uses some, but not a ton. But hers, she's using a lot. That means she's like really into him. Not every woman will do that when she's really into you, but when you see it, it's a great sign. Going on, he says, I worked in advertising. Oh, so she says, look at you being catch of the week on Tinder. Now, why did she say that? She said that because, I don't have the photo for you here, but basically Denzel took his primary photo that performed really well, and then he got even better results by adding he created a little icon for it that says catch of the week. And that upped his match rate really dramatically. Why? Because it's a pattern interrupt. So you put something women don't expect to see on there, something that grabs their attention. They think, that's creative, that's different, and they're more likely to match. So it boosts his match rate by about 20-30%. So it's a pretty healthy boost there. So he says, I worked in advertising, so I thought it was time to advertise myself. Well, that was handy. How many chicks have caught you that week, though? He says, enough to keep that as my main profile pic. Whereabouts do you live, Kathleen? Now, notice here's something Denzel's done great. She's asked him kind of what could be a tricky question, like how many women are you flirting with? Are you a player? How many dates are you going on? This is the kind of question that women can ask. It's like a probing question trying to suss his shit out. And what Denzel's really just done is answered it in a playful way. He hasn't been sleazy or creepy or exaggerated or lied. He's just been a little bit coy and then bam, changed the topic with a new question. That's a really great way to go. That's what I would recommend to it because it can be a little bit of a shit test. And again, he's handled this really well here. Allowed the conversation to move on. So she said, I'm in the Northern Beaches. What about you? Me too. I'm in Beacon Hill, but only until Saturday. Then I'm heading to Darlington. Okay, Mamacita, this means I've got a week to ask you out before this starts to become a logistical issue. But first, I need to get to know you a little better. Let's start with some serious questions. So a little bit of future pacing. He said, hey, I'm thinking about asking you out, but first you're going to have to earn it. But he hasn't, if you're going to say something like this, you can't then, you can't ask serious questions and really act like you're Lord Almighty trying to make her work for it. He said she's going to have to work for it, but then he's going to lead with some playful questions. And this keeps the whole thing fun and playful, but makes it feel like he's not super hyper available. So he goes on, he says, pizza or pasta? Well, I'm in the Northern Beaches. What about you? Is that even a serious question? Both, obviously. Apologies for the late reply, by the way. It was my mate's 30th last night. Haha, like some sort of macaroni pizza? You crazy. Vodka or tequila? In brackets, not a problem, we all have lives. Nah, I'll eat spaghetti and pasta together. Vodka, definitely. It's okay, your secret is safe with me. Vodka tends to be less wild than tequila, girls. Is that kind of like you? Personally, I'm definitely tequila man. It's the lane blood in me, I think. Don't worry though, that just means I won't be stealing your drinks. Now, one thing that I would sort of note here, if you're going to ask a question, don't follow up with a statement after that. Wait until she replies and then throw in your statement. So the reason being is that what it can do is it can break up the conversation, because we tend to reply to the last message we saw. And so you can easily lose your train of conversation if you do that. Again, didn't happen here, but it's ways to tweak this conversation to make sure that you're going to get more traction. I saw you did something very similar in the last conversation. I forgot to mention it. She says, haha, is that what your research says or from your personal experiences? Ha ha ha, that's fine. Means more vodka for me. By the way, notice she says ha ha ha, he he he, lol a lot. Again, just like the smiley faces, she's heavily invested. He says, if I had to do cold read on you, all drink preferences aside, I'd say you work hard, but you also play hard. So whatever the spirit, you still turn up to a night out when needed. Haha, yeah, that's a bit more accurate now. I thought so. Moving on. Are you a red or a wine drink or a white wine drinker? Neither. I don't think I can ever drink wine or beer. Is there a reason or just the taste? Nah, just the taste really. Understandable. I'll match it to whatever I'm eating. So I'd choose both really. Yes, I know that's cheating. You must like going out. All these questions are about alcohol. Fried or scrambled eggs? In brackets, and food. Poached. Haha, you beat me to it. You obviously see the rules are there are meant to be broken. So notice that Denzel's using the same questions here. He can repeat sort of these little patterns that he uses that works for him. And this is a good little tactic to use in Tinder. Have a pattern that works well and keep using it. Do you live on your own, in brackets besides your daughter, or with family? Lol, do I look like a rebel? I have a housemate. What about you? You got an innocent face, but I think those looks are deceiving. I moved Saturday and I'll have one. She's already moved in. We have concrete walls, which is good. I used to live in a share house where you could hear everything, and I mean everything. Now, what Denzel's doing here, which is good, is he now needs to suss this girl out a little bit sexually. He needs to see whether she's conservative or non-conservative when it comes to her views on sex and, just having fun sexually, or whether she's, wanting to be in a relationship to engage with a guy. Because obviously she's interested, she's keen, but he needs to work that out. And the way that he's going to do this and the way that you're going to see it play out is you work it out by seeing how she responds to slightly sexual scenarios. So you can see here, Denzel isn't being sleazy or creepy here. What he's doing is saying, hey, I used to have some roommates that made lots of noise, if you know what I mean. And he's doing this because now he's also already before this said, you look like a bit of a rebel. So he's seeing how she responds to saying, are you a rebel? Do I identify with the concept of being a rebel, or do I identify with the concept of being a good girl better? So her response is going to tell him that, as well as her response to, hey, I've just made a sexual reference. How do you respond to these things, right? Because a woman's response to a lot of these things, they tell you oodles. So let's see how she responds. She says, lol, looks can always be deceiving. Well, that's good then. You'll probably be sleeping better at the new place. He said, they certainly can. I hope so. No problem with that at your place, I guess? She said, lol, nope, not that I know. I can imagine it would be a little weird with your daughter, that's all. I had a flatmate that used to be quite the ladies' man, and every single time he brought someone home, you'd know about it no matter what. They'd end up leaving straight after. I used to ask him whether he kicked them out or not, and he said, I don't really ask them to stay, which I thought was rude. What do you think? So again, it's probing questions. It's creating a scenario and just seeing what her thoughts are, because if she says, well, I don't do that kind of thing, or if she says, well, I'm a good girl, so I wouldn't know, or if she says, any number of things, then he knows she isn't open to casual sex, or her response could be different, saying she is open to it and has engaged in it before, so her response is going to tell him everything he needs to know. So here she says, yeah, well, depends. I mean, I never asked anyone to stay as well, but they're welcome to if they need it, like if they can't physically travel or something like that. So, ding! What has he learned? He's learned that this woman has had casual sex interactions before. She has brought guys home. She's not just waiting until she's in a serious relationship with guys to bring them home or to go home with them. So that's a really great sign, right? So Denzel's learning based on her responses to these questions. Really great strategies here. And he says, oh, look at you caring. I like that. Hypothetically, though, let's say we have an amazing date that goes a little too good in your eyes. Then just by chance, we end up doing the dirty. Do women want to stay or do they want to go? So again, some future pacing. How does she respond? Does she play along? Does she like the idea? And does she kind of take a step back and become less engaged with him? Because this is how he's escalating. This is a way that we can test the waters with a woman without having to actually go on a date with her to see where she's at. So she responds, lol, I always go. Good sign. Don't stay over unless I'm actually seeing the guy. Why? So great information here from her. And he says, I was going to say, that's a bit rough, even if you know the guy, but I understand. Though if it's, I can't see straight, let alone walk kind of sex, as if you wouldn't want around 2 a.m. I would feel like unfinished business otherwise. No? Lol, around 2 a.m? That's a bit weak, isn't it? Should be like 4 or 5 by then. So you can see now the tone of the conversation's changed. It suddenly becomes sexual in nature in a very organic way, right? In a way that didn't feel too forced or pushed or aggressively pursued by Denzel. He's done it in a very ideal, smooth way. This is the same way. This is exactly the same kind of strategy that I will use to escalate. And in fact, I don't know if Denzel stole it from me. Stole it, borrowed it, took it, because that's what I teach, and he's one of my coaches, so why not? So she said, then Denzel says, let's call them sessions until someone taps out. The bed breaks or the sun comes up and we need to go to work. You're a bit of a poet, aren't you? Lol. No one has ever called me that. I'm enjoying that it's poetry to your ears, though. Flattery will get you everywhere. I'm guessing you'd like to hear more in person. How about tomorrow at Deck Bar over some cocktails? She says, haha, I can't tomorrow, sorry. He says, I've got Wednesday off, so maybe in the afternoon, evening. Otherwise, due to my move to my new apartment, won't be available till Sunday. Okay, so there's a little bit of banter after this. I won't go on. Basically, he gets a number and they line up to catch up. So, this is how you want these conversations to go. This is actually really, that was a really generally great conversation where he has some fun banter. He starts off really nicely. He does the sort of questions to get her engaged, makes her feel like she's working for it, but not in a serious, overdone way. And then he's lining up to catch up with her. One thing that for me, now Denzel's got a different strategy, so I don't want to knock what Denzel's doing because I know what he's doing works. But one thing for me that I'll add in, I like to bring in more rapport than I see here. Like I like to actually learn a little bit about her serious and share a little bit serious about myself. Because if we've got that rapport-based connection where we've had a real conversation as well, we actually know each other other than the playful banter, I find I get a far lower flake rate on these women. They're far more likely to actually line up a date with me sooner and make an effort to catch up with me. Because then I feel like a little bit more than just a fuck toy on Tinder. So that's a little bit of advice here for this conversation. I think for a number of the ones I've seen, more rapport will lower your flake rate, get you a better hit rate at the end. But for the rest, really nice conversation. So conversation number 3, let's see. So this was on another dating app. So basically what happens here on Hinge is the women have comments on their profiles, on the public profiles that they put up there. And Denzel's first message is a reply to that comment on her profile. So on her profile, she wrote, I know I found the one when we can watch animal fails while eating mac and cheese in bed. To which Denzel says, eating in bed is heavenly. I made a mac and cheese pizza once. I was definitely living my best life at that point. She says, that sounds incredible. I think I need that in my life. It was a Frankenstein creation with a 4-cheese pizza I ordered with truffle oil and some mac and cheese I'd made. I dared to dream. Oh my God, you are killing me. I just finished my salad. Frowny face. I tend to want prosciutto with it, but I think the touch of spinach it comes with is enough. Check to make sure you're not drooling. Are you a red or white wine drinker? You're mean. It all depends on the circumstances, but I have a deep love for red. Yourself? It certainly does depend on the time and the food. Shirazes are my go-to, but I like both. Yes, I know that's cheating. Fun fact, I recently found out cheese is best served with champagne, which has now got me into champagne. Scrambled or fried eggs? Champagne just equals fun. Did you know that there is a Bubbles festival in Piedmont this month? I like my eggs scrambled with mushrooms. Yummy. How's your Wednesday? I did not know that. I'm moving to Darlington this weekend, so I'll be putting that on the list. Bubbles are the only drink you can have in the morning, and no one thing's out on alcohol. I would have said poached myself. You should have guessed I was going to cheat on that one too. I have a day off, so just errands today. Maybe catch up on the last 2 episodes of Game of Thrones. Where are you from, Annalise? See? Always fun. You just know you're going to have a good day if you have a champagne breakfast. The important question is, are you good at poaching your eggs? You may stop talking to me, but I haven't seen Game of Thrones. I grew up in Southern Highlands and now in Annandale. Yourself? Amen to that. Morning mimosas are the start to the day we all deserve. I certainly can. I even know how to poach using a microwave, which, to be honest, is actually a lot easier than any other way. To be honest, I don't really remember names too well, so if I try and explain it to someone, it sounds like I'm just making it up. So I don't try to sell it, so you're not going to be judged there. Oh really, that name of yours sounds incredibly French, though I know names can be deceiving. I was born in Venezuela to a Colombian mother and English father, but I grew up in Northern Beaches. Though I moved to Darlington this weekend. I didn't know you could poach eggs in the microwave. Learned something today. Well, that's good to know. I feel like people are obsessed with Game of Thrones. My name is Dutch or German, but my dad is from England. Nice area to move to. Why the change? They are, though it's not my favorite show. I started watching the show called Barry. Have you heard of it? I looked it up. Definitely Dutch. I've been bouncing around the city for the last 5 years, but I like the energy there. The unis give it a nice vibe. I'm just in between leases at the moment. To be honest, Game of Thrones first season was amazing. Then it slowly got worse. Midget pimps and relentless sex scenes are hard to top. One thing I want to say here in this conversation, what I'm feeling a little bit is that there's too much hyper-threading. There's 3 conversations going on about once, like where you live, Game of Thrones, other TV shows that you could watch, and her name's Origin. That's like too many conversations at once. I'd break it down and just have one at a time. Because you don't want you want the conversations to remain simple. It's also hard to, if you now want to tease, it'd be playful. I mean, you've done it well with the midget sex, but it becomes harder to tease because she's got to think what thing you're referencing when you're being playful or making a joke or teasing, that kind of thing. So try to avoid the hyper-threaded conversations when you're not on Tinder. You want to keep it simple, easy for her to comprehend and engage with. So no, I haven't heard of it. What is it about? Are you moving in with your friends? That definitely makes it worth it then. A hitman that moves to LA for a job and accidentally falls into acting classes as a self-discovery exercise. He then realizes killing isn't for him, but the mafia won't let him go. Actually pretty hilarious. Just the one. She's an old Kiwi friend of mine. Do you live by yourself? So now we begin with some screening. Sounds interesting. Netflix? I live with my dad. He retired a few years ago, so I decided to buy into the house so we could stay there. Fox, unfortunately. That's awesome. Look at you looking after your father. Good work. Well, all I know is I'm happy. I have concrete walls in this place. I used to live with 3 other single people, and you could hear everything. My flatmates were like rabbits. So again, Denzel's doing with the screening just like he did. You can see some repeating patterns, but you stick with what works, right? My dad and I get along well, so it works. Plus, we are both out of the house a lot. Haha, did you not feel like you were part of the nest? A nest is a group of rabbits. Thin walls are the worst. He says, it did bring us together a little more, which was good. Definitely part of the nest. Probably the most fun I had in a share house, to be honest. One of the guys I was living with was a bit of a ladies' man. Every time he'd bring someone home, they'd never stay, and I thought that was quite odd. He asked me, should I ask him to stay? Which I always thought would have been a common courtesy, but he genuinely thought the ladies never wanted to stay. As a woman, what does someone do in that situation? To which he says, to be completely honest, I have never been in a situation like that. I've only ever gone home with people that I have been dating. In saying that, I think we like staying the night most of the time. If we didn't want to stay, we would make the first move of leaving. I think I would feel very awkward if someone asked me to leave after a night of fun. So now we're learning this girl isn't open to casual, right? Simple question, simple line of conversation. And now we know we've got all the answers that Denzel needs not to know. Look, okay, probably don't push the casual sex stuff with this girl. Do I want to keep talking to her or not? That's a conversation each guy has to make for himself. So she says, back at work today? I think so too. You've made the effort. Why on earth would you want to leave? Unless maybe the sex was too good. I can't see straight, let alone what kind of sex. And you didn't want to ruin the memory? Unfortunately, yes. Haha, that sounds like the best sex, and you definitely wouldn't leave then because you'd want it again. Is it a fun day at the office for you? Though the illusion of morning sex perpetuated by Hollywood often lacks the right conditions for actual great morning sex. Unless you can trust yourself to get up, knock back the tic-tac, and hope to God you still don't have dry drool in your face before you slip back under the sheets. I pick you as a drooler, am I right? So what Denzel's doing is he's trying to push the sexual stuff, see if he can get any response out of her, anything step in the right direction. I don't think she's going to bite based off what I've seen before, but he's got nothing to lose by giving it a try, by constantly pushing it back to sex. But you can see in this conversation, like the last one, she's not biting. And when they're not biting, it means you're not necessarily going to get anywhere. Even though she was perfectly well engaged in the conversation, this is not one that's likely to lead to sex. She says, I love the detail. If I had one of those dead to the world type of sleeps, then yes, drool is involved. Where's your office? Well, at least you're aware of it. I too am a drooler under those circumstances. What else can I pick from your profile? Potentially a blanket thief as well. I'd be freezing my ass off as you were rugged up like a burrito in the corner. Near town hall. You? That's every girl, and that only happens if you aren't giving us enough warmth with cuddles. I'm just at Ultimo near Broadway shops. I'm pretty much a giant size hot water bottle, so you wouldn't have any problem there at all. Okay, so I need a pack tomorrow, but is there still time for a cheeky drink after work? I'd like to meet you just to see if the energy is the same in person. Are you free? She says, good to know. Haha, only if it's cheeky. Yeah, I'm free. Where do you want to meet? How about the swinging cat on the corner of King and Clarence, let's say 6 p.m. What's your number? This app is super glitchy and it would be easier for me if we could just text you. Great. So she gives him her number. Lovely. Now, this conversation for me wasn't as fun and engaging as some of the others, but it was still a good, solid block of conversation. What I'd want here is a little bit more teasing, a little bit more sort of giving her a bit more shit, a bit more playfulness. But again, you can see what's happening in Denzel's line of conversation. He's starting playful. He's got these little blocks of things that he uses. So the way that Denzel makes his conversations fun is by asking about, the food and the wine and the drink preferences and everything and having playful responses to them. Then he does some sexual screening to learn where she's at. And then he can act accordingly and he goes for a number. So this is actually a really it's a great way to think about structuring your Tinder conversations. These are really good conversations. I'd rate them about an 8 out of 10. You can definitely improve. You can always improve, but they're solid. That's what a solid Tinder conversation can look like. Now, guys, if you'd like to learn how to have really great Tinder experiences, Tinder conversations, I'd highly recommend you click the link up here. I've got an entire course dedicated to improving your Tinder results. So in this course, what I do is I literally take you through step by step how to write the perfect profile, how to pick the ideal or take ideal Tinder profile shots. I'm going to show you how to write responses, first messages and responses that get women wanting to engage with you. I'm going to show you exactly. You saw Tinder screening women. I'm going to give you an entire guide to screening women on Tinder, to working out how available they are, to work out how open to casual sex they are, to sexually escalating just by text, so you know exactly what's going to happen on that date before you actually go and meet with her. So I go through all the steps, step by step. I hold your hand all the way through. It's a video training series. There's also a Facebook group that you can join once you're a member of this course, where I will help you personally with your Tinder profiles, but only for guys who are part of the course. So go ahead and check that out. There's an extra bonus for you if you click the link up here or the link down below in the comments that I'll give you. Not only can you find out about that course, but you can download for free right now the Tinder Photo 21-point cheat sheet to show you 21 tips for getting the best Tinder photos that are going to get you the highest match rate. So guys, this has been a bit of a longer one today. I hope you learned a lot about good Tinder conversations. I hope reading some of these has helped you. If it has, let me know in the comments below. Would you like to see some more of these videos where I go through other guys' great Tinder conversations so you can see what's working for different kinds of personalities? Let me know. I'd love to hear about it. Guys, thanks so much for watching today. I look forward to seeing you in my future videos. I'm Damien. Have a fantastic week.